Hello everybody and welcome back to Operation Logistics, where Harley is now playing Graveyard Keeper. Good for you, Harley. Okay, so we are currently implementing vehicle transfers, and we're already checking to see if there's a selected vehicle, and if there's not, when we click on the hex, you must select a vehicle to transfer. So then, we're going to need to get this hex, but first we need to check if there's an original hex. So let's go ahead and go into the business and see. We've got our selected hex, which is int3.null. Well, I mean, it will be a selected hex. So let's go ahead and grab that. And to get that, we probably want to go into building here. Is it building? No, it's not building. We want to get our building. We know what the hex is, so we need to get our hex manager, that whole big long thing. So where was that I implemented that previously? I cannot remember for the life of me. We had a selected building that was somewhere. Where was that? That was in... It wasn't in vehicle or building. Was it in building hex? I think we can get it here. So when we do this, we do need to get the building, which is here. So we can get that just fine. That's this building. So we need to check to make sure that this exists. Obviously this statement does nothing, it's just a reference. But we can grab this. So place this here, manager.selected world hex. Actually, let's do this up here. So if there's a selected vehicle, then we can do all of this. And I just want to say building old building equals manager.selected world hex.biome hexes, and this is going to be business.selected hex. Now, here's the thing. This would not support moving from one biome hex to another. So, I think what we need to do is we need to say, when we enter this, business needs to immediately store where this is. So then we would have a public int3, and this would be the original transfer hex equals int3.null. Okay, and then down here, when we enter the vehicle transfer mode, then we would say original transfer hex equals selected hex. Just like that. So now we've got our original transfer hex. So if business.original transfer hex is not equal to int3.null, then what we do is we need to grab this one. So we will say something along the lines of building original building equals, and this would be not exactly this, but close to it. So I'm just going to copy that and paste it here, and this would be, instead of hexid.biome hex, and instead of manager.selected world hex, this would actually be manager dot What did I call it on the manager? Get world hex by index. And this would need to be then business dot original transfer hex dot world hex. And then we would get dot biome hexes, and then this would be business dot original transfer hex dot biome hex, and then dot buildings, and this would be business dot original transfer hex dot building hex, like that. And this should not be in brackets. This should actually be in parentheses. There we go. So we get the world hex by index. And then we pass in our biome hexes. And then our buildings. So that way we can actually move it from place to place. And then we would do building new building equals, and then this would essentially just be this building hex right here. The one that we have selected. So this should be fine, actually. So that should get us our new building and our original building, and we've verified that we have a selected vehicle. However, we will need an error message here for if we do not have an original transfer hex. If we don't have an original transfer hex, we should do debug.log replace me. And we're probably going to replace these pretty soon. But debug.log replace me, and this is simply going to read something along the lines of no original hex to transfer from. This should never happen. In fact, I'll put that in here. This should never happen. Okay. We should never ever see that. Because if we have a selected vehicle, we should guaranteed have an original transfer hex if we're also in vehicle transfer mode. That's just there in case there's some weird bug that happens. So, we now can grab these comments here and paste them here, because this is where we're going to need to do this. So we need to first check to see that the hex can store the vehicle. So, let's go ahead and say if new building dot vehicle storage type equals original building dot vehicle storage type. Then we will do this. Actually, we'll need to check that the hex isn't full first. And then we'll put in another error here, else debug.log, and this will be something along the lines of replace me. And it would read storage type between the two buildings is incompatible. Okay. Now we need to check that the hex isn't full. So if new building dot vehicle storage dot count is less than new building dot vehicle capacity. So hypothetically, this is one indexed. This is probably one indexed as well, right? Yeah. Yeah, it is. So this should be fine right here. This is, I believe, the same thing that we have going on here. Yeah, it is. Perfect. Okay, and then we'll need an error message here, else debug.log replace me. And that would read something along the lines of destination building is at vehicle capacity. Okay. But if all of this ends up being true, and we don't need that particular line in either, but if all of this ends up being true, then we remove the vehicle from its hex. So original building dot vehicle storage dot remove, and that would be business dot selected vehicle, and then we add it to the new hex. So new building dot vehicle storage type, or not vehicle storage type, just vehicle storage dot add business dot selected vehicle. Is that it? I think that's it. Now we find out if it works. Oh boy. Okay. So let's go ahead and save this. First things first, the transfer vehicles button doesn't actually do anything, so let's go ahead and hook that up. So hex selection window will need to have on enter vehicle transfer mode. Okay. So we will need to go ahead and select a vehicle. Oh, another thing we should do. I forgot. It's fine that this is running right now. Another thing that we should do is we should go ahead and say business.selected vehicle equals null. We'll reset that, and we'll also reset business dot... That's not how you spell anything. Nope. Go away, Unity. Now is not the time. Okay. We want business... No, Unity, go away. Now is still not the time. Get out of here. Business dot original transfer hex equals int3... No, not int2. int3 dot null. Okay. There we go. So, that now resets everything on back. And now we can test to see if we can enter vehicle transfer mode. Now, we'll be able to enter vehicle transfer mode from any building, including buildings that we don't own, and that's not necessarily what we want. So we should probably enable and disable that button based on whether the hex is owned or not when we update the window. But first, I want to make sure that this is actually working. We're going to need, when this loads up, to give ourselves some extra money to make this work. Our starting money will not be enough to test this, so I'm going to go ahead and give us 50,000 as usual. And we'll skip this tutorial, and we'll hop on in here. And first things first, I'm going to purchase all 3 of these hexes. And I'm going to go ahead and demolish those. I'm also going to head over here. Actually, I'm going to go... Uh-oh. I can't remember what hex we were in. That's a problem. Okay, we'll start this over. We're in this actually, we're in this hex to start with, and then the top center one. And we will buy land. We will purchase land here and land here. And we will go ahead and demolish this guy and this guy. And then we're going to head over to this hex, go in the same place, land management, buy land, purchase that hex, demolition, demolish that. We're going to construct a car berth here and leave it empty. And then we're going to come down here, and we're going to, right here, we're going to build ourselves a postal office and a car berth. Car berth. There we go. Now we got a postal office and a car berth here. In the postal office, we will go ahead and build that delivery vehicle. We'll select it, transfer vehicles, we're in vehicle transfer mode, and select this guy. Okay. Did it just not update the tooltip? Oh yeah, must first select a vehicle to transfer. Yeah, it just didn't update this immediately. But it did indeed transfer. We'll select this vehicle, transfer vehicles. We can't zoom out without leaving the interaction mode. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Okay, I think it's broken. Oh no, it worked! Look at that, it worked! This broke. The hex selection window broke. Specifically here. Yeah, in the selected building. That's not a huge surprise. Where was it calling that? Line 70? Okay. Another thing that we should do is when we do this, we should make sure that we do business.hexSelectionWindow.onEnable and make sure that we update that. Okay. The next thing is... Well, what I was thinking is how can we go about fixing this zoom out problem? Because we can't enter transfer, or we can't zoom out without leaving transfer vehicle mode right now. Maybe we should just put that in as a known issue. But I'd like to fix it. This is all at line 70. Which is specifically this line here. Building equals selected building. You know what we could do? What we could do is we could say if manager.selected... Actually, if business.selectedHex is not equal to int3.no, so not equal to int3.no, then we would return this. Else, if business.original transfer hex is not equal to int3.no, so it'll prefer using selected hex, but if that's not available, then it'll try to use the original transfer hex, and then it will return this, except using original transfer hex instead of manager.selected hex, or rather instead of business.selected hex. And then instead of manager.selected subhex, it would use business.original transfer hex .biome hex. And this is actually an index, so we don't need to do an index of. Oh, come on. Nope, come on. There we go. And then we will need a closing bracket like that. Because that gets us a list of biome hex. Hang on. I think I broke something here. Feel like I did. But instead of manager.selected world hex, we would use something along the lines of manager.getWorldHex by index, and then this would be business.originalTransferHex.worldHex. And then we would get .biome hexes. We do have some syntax errors here. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this. Return manager.getWorldHex by index. And that would be index business.originalTransferHex.worldHex dot. Oh, right. What am I thinking? This is not an index. This is a parameter. There we go. Business.originalTransferHex.worldHex.biome and this would be of business.originalTransferHex.biome dot buildings, and this would be business dot original transfer hex dot building hex, like that. Okay, and then we would just say something along the lines of else if there's no selected hex and no transfer hex, then we just return no. That should fix some of the issues. Well, it is time for me to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we will test to see if that actually fixed transferring from world hex or biome hex to world hex or biome hex. See you all then.